Hello and good morning. So this is Jason Cavness. I'm trying to do something different today. Some of you might know me from my podcast with Jason Cavness Experience, where I talk to entrepreneurs, founders, and other interesting people. So today I actually want to try something different. So today I'm on live on different platforms, and I just want to go through what I'm trying to build or what I'm building right now. So probably can't see this too good. So on my TV right now, I have my Chat GPT. And actually, I'm going to switch this over. Hold on. Let me see something. I'm still trying to learn all this stuff, switching around and stuff. If I can do a screen share. So that's not working. So right now I'm trying to set up my Ecamm Live to show my Chat GPT. No, not that. So edit, profile, source, camera, mic, overlays, recording options. Share screen, preview mode. So I don't want to show that. Entire screen. So right now I'm gonna check to make sure my screen is sharing with everyone. All right, so this screen is not showing what I want to show. What I want to show. I'm trying to show my Chat GPT. Go to Google Chrome. All right, so I'm gonna have to do this a different way. Okay, so I'm gonna have to do this a different way. Let me fix this camera real fast. All right, so not exactly how I want to do it, but hopefully I can walk you through this. So let me pull up my chat GPT. The music you're hearing, so my studio is in Pioneer Square here in Seattle. It's Saturday morning, like 2 in the morning. No, it's actually like 1 in the morning. And so Pioneer Square was part of Seattle, the oldest neighborhood in Seattle. I think it was first built in 1852. This fire came, burned it down. It was rebuilt. And so the block I'm on actually has a bunch of bars and clubs and like dive bars. And so right next to me, to the left, is the post office. Next to that is a Latin bar, and that's the music you might be able to hear right now. Also on this block is a bar called the Central Saloon. So the Central Saloon has been open since 1892. It's had a few owners. Let me check one more thing. Okay. So it's had a few owners back and forth. So one time I'm definitely learning why some of these people have like different people having this out. There's definitely a lot to do with just one person. So back on track. So Central Saloon been open since 1892, and so it's famous for like where a lot of like Seattle bands got to start. Like Nirvana played there, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Heart. Any famously world-known band got started there. And even today, they have live music every night. Usually like 2 or 3 bands a night, and it's pretty good. And what's interesting is like I don't go there a lot because the first band usually comes on like 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. I'm usually gone by then because like my bus ride or train ride is like an hour from here. So I really try not to be here that late at night. But when I do go, like a band will come on and the music will be so good. You're like, what are you doing here, right? Like why are you not famous? Like why, you're just so good, right? Another band will come on and you're like, man, like you must have no friends because like you totally suck. Like what are you doing here, right? Like why has no one told you that this is not your thing to do, right? So this is something random. So my tendency tonight is like try to do this live and just go through all the things I'm building. So first thing, and one thing I'm getting used to now, like I do these live streams all the time on the podcast, but it's just me and another person talking, and I switch the cameras. I guess I never realized that there's like the delay that there is in this, right? It's not much, but it still like kind of throws you off a little bit, So next, I'm gonna pull up my ChatGPT and just go over different things I'm doing. Oh, also, before I do that, another thing I want to do too is to go over my different bottles of bourbon that I have here. So this bottle here, if you can see it, this was a gift to me from my daughter Janice when I retired from the Army back in 2015. Originally a bottle full of scotch, so she got me this. Has my retired rank, my rank and name, so Major Jason Cavness on here. And so what I'm gonna do too, while I'm doing this, I'm gonna do a little sipping, right? So take my first sip, and so this bottle is very special to me, for my daughter Janice. A very nice gift, and the glasses. So this one is actually kind of rough because this is a blend of like 7 different bourbons. So we'll go the bourbons later on in the day when I'm doing this talk. And so, so this first one is 7 different bourbons. So it's a blend. Oh no, shit. Okay. So I forgot to click the Adobe Audition recording, so I just did that. So I lost that. There's so many things you got to do. But one of these days, I'll get the thing where I'm gonna have like a young Jamie, like Joe Rogan does, or a team like Mr. Beast or Gary Vaynerchuk has. So a quick pour. Here's everyone out there. So I remember, right, this is actually kind of rough. So, yeah, that's kind of tough right there. Yeah. So that's a mix of Buffalo Trace, which that bottle's done. Bait and Blow, that bottle's done. Those 2 of my favorite ones. And Frank August, that's another favorite one of mine. Then 792 small batch, a bourbon called Boondocks, which is actually pretty decent. Then one called Baker's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey and Russell's Reserve. So my favorite bourbons are Frank August, Buffalo Trace, Bait and Blow, and I'm also a big fan of a bourbon. Well, it's actually a whiskey, Rebecca Creek whiskey out of Texas, out of San Antonio, Texas, and Valverde area. So I'm a big fan of Rebecca Creek whiskey. It's made out of water, the Rebecca Creek in the hill country, so it's very good. Okay, so moving on. So this one actually needs a tab of water in it. All right, so moving on. So what I just want to do today is, and mainly this is probably more for me than anyone else, is to go over what I'm building or trying to build, right? So retired Army officer, did 25 years, got involved in tech startups and different stuff. So just I'm gonna go through my ChatGPT and try to get organized. So I have a lot of things I'm working on, some like kind of side projects, some in full force, you know. So first one is been in Vietnam 3 times, and I met a guy there named Daniel Shaw. And one thing that Daniel Shaw does is he has like apparel things, shoes and stuff. Maybe make this bigger. Yeah, so I don't think you can really see this on the TV. But right now it has some shoes on here. So one thing I'm looking at doing is starting a shoe line out of Vietnam. So I don't think you can see it on the TV because it might be too small. Maybe the camera angle is not good enough. Hold on, let me see something. See if I can make this better. Okay, so that really didn't work. So that really didn't work. So let me go back to the ChatGPT. So one thing I'm trying to do, and I really wish I could show you, but I really can't. It doesn't like let me show you because I guess the camera's not set up right. I know I'm just like jibber jabbing right now, but okay. All right, let me see one more thing. Screen mirroring. Okay, so you go back to screen 2. Okay. All right, so I think I have this down right now. All right, so a friend of mine, Daniel Shaw, known him for maybe a year and a half. He's from Brooklyn, New York. He makes shoes and different apparel out of Vietnam. So one thing I'm playing around with, I mean, it's like on the bottom of all my projects, it's probably like the one like way on the bottom. But to make like my own shoe line, you know, like Cavness shoes or Cavness whatever, and you really can't see the design. Okay, let me try this. Screen sharing, screen mirroring. Okay. So that might help. So I think I was screen mirroring from the wrong okay. Okay. So that might help. So I think I was screen mirroring from the. All right. So now I mute everything. Hopefully this is gonna work. So maybe okay. So you can see this better now. So these are the like different designs of shoes I'm trying to do. So basically my brand colors are orange and blue. So if you're a founder or startup person or in design, you probably know this. But when I first started doing this tech startup stuff, and I was building my website, and got with a designer, and we went through like the color, the number of blues I want, right? And like she said, I said, well, I want my colors to be blue and orange based on the color wheel, that kind of stuff. And the person was, that's all fine and good, but what number blue do you want? What number orange do you want? And I was like, what do you mean a number? Like, I just want blue and orange, right? Like, what do you mean? Like, do I pick navy blue, deep blue? What? And there's actually like thousands of numbers of blues, right? It's insane, right? I think my blues are 0017B and 0F4C81, right? So it's insane, right? So these are these are like the color shoes I want to do, right? So different takes on the orange and blue. I'm kind of make this up, but like in order to make a shoe in Vietnam, to include labor is like $10 to $15, right? And then you do the marketing stuff, and you can sell the shoe here for like $65. Of course, if someone gonna buy a Cavness shoe brand, like who knows, but that's gonna have to figure out later. But I'm thinking if I can do this, I can take advantage of being retired Army military. Have my small business veteran, disabled veteran certification. And the research I did, that would help me get within like the AAFES, other like organizations or companies that, sell shoes. So that's why I'm trying to do that there. So that's a shoe there. All right. So enough about that. So next thing I want to go through is Sagittarius traits overview. So I'm a Sagittarius. And this is kind of rough. Ooh. So mentally, I'm built kind of different. I'm a Sagittarius. I'm also an INFJ. And sometimes when I learn, those two things really don't go together, right? So like Sagittarius, and this is all from the internet, ChatGPT, different sources, right? So, a Sagittarius like drives innovation, it inspires, sees what's next. INFJ is more like builds people up, empathetic, insightful. But honestly, I'm probably too freaking empathetic sometimes, right? Actually, all the times, right? So INFJ, I extend emotionally too much. I definitely see that. So core traits of Sagittarius, the best sign there is, it says we're adventurous, optimistic, sometimes really honest, which that's true, independent, and philosophical. I know I said that word wrong, but that's definitely me. Strengths of being a Sagittarius: visionary, magnetic energy. I don't know about that one though. Fearless, I do like doing like off the wall stuff. I'm pretty open minded about different things. Weaknesses for Sagittarius, which I am: restless, easily bored. I definitely get easily bored, and I do overpromise. I have a tendency of saying yes too much. I'm trying to say no. So take that. Some famous Sagittarius people: Jay-Z, Taylor Swift, Brad Pitt, Jimi Hendrix, and Winston Churchill. And then I said, combine like being a Sagittarius with INFJ. And so here on ChatGPT, I made a thing called, if you don't know, you can make different personas, right? So my personas I ask questions is the visionary operator. And so it said the fire of Sagittarius meets the death of INFJ. So this combo is a rare hybrid. Sagittarius, expansive curiosity fused with INFJ's introspective mission focus. It says, I'm not just exploring for fun. I explore to understand and elevate people. I think that's true. So yeah, definitely a different mix on the Sagittarius INFJ thing. Then it came up with me a founder operating manual. Mission core, it says that I'm not building for profit, I'm building for progress. My INFJ lens defines why, while my Sagittarius fire defines how. So it combines the why and the how, which actually works pretty good some of the time, or actually most of the time. Every venture I touch, Cavness HR, everything else, a podcast, my different tech things, different events, I do build them to help grow people through innovation, connection, and courage. I very rarely look at how it helps me myself. So that's actually one thing I feel at. I have a very successful podcast, different thing I'm doing that's successful, but I often fail to what's the word I'm looking for? Not translate, convert. I sometimes often fail to convert what I'm doing that helps other people out to myself. Guiding question I often have: what problem can I solve that makes life better for others and pushes humanity forward? I agree with that. So I think that's enough about that. So different mix. Next, Cavness HR. So Cavness HR, I've been working for a while. If you ask my wife, I've been working on it for one day too long. So how I got started, when I left the Army, I was on LinkedIn looking for a job, connecting with people. And this person reached out to me and said, hey, you don't know me, but I'm building a startup called Mindfold, and we want to help military veterans find jobs, right? And college students by doing skills tests. Can we meet? You tell me how the Army's gonna help you find a job. I'm not like sure, but what the fuck is a startup, right? I have no idea what a startup, right? Like you just can't start a business. All the business already exists. What are you talking about? So the person laughed. We met up. He explained everything started to me. I actually worked for that startup a couple of years. I learned so much stuff. And so the startup got shut down, or it actually got sold. I learned later it was sold and acquired, so to speak, right? Not shut down. Like a lot of us were led to believe, but regardless, so I saw, man, I see all these jobs don't have a HR. Maybe it might be a business I can do. And so, of course, I pivoted because most startups can't afford anything, and did the research. According to the Small Business Administration, there's all these startups with no HR. I talked to small business owners. I'd seen there's something to do, and a challenge for me has always been the tech piece, right? Like over the years, I built a podcast, a good social media brand. If you Google me, stuff comes up. If I do stuff, people help me out, whatever. But it's the tech piece has been like has just been a killer for me, right? Because like what I'm building, like some people get confused. Oh, just build like a simple website. It's like really complicated, right? And I'll go over the tech piece later, right? It's not like a plug and play thing. It's like a really complicated thing, especially with all the AI features that we have now, which we didn't have back in the past, right? Of course, I had interns who repeated exactly what I wanted, and of course, they built something different. I mean, freelancers. That interns who were not knowledgeable enough to build what I want. Other people were knowledgeable enough, but like after 6 months, they left. Had one person, I think, in my mind, he actually stole money from me, which of course is bullshit. It's just been a pain in the butt doing the tech piece, right? And I go over who I have doing it now or in the future, right? Whew. That is rough. So, like the core features of Cavness HR is basically going to combine HR platform and HR business partner, right? And so the HR platform is going to be AI native platform, right? I actually want to build an AI platform for this, right? I don't want to have it built around ChatGPT. I want to be AI powered. I want to be like AI native, right? Which is going to take some time to do probably, or maybe a combination, right? Combine with HR business partner. So the main feature is going to be AI powered people insights. It's going to the system's going to detect different potential problems. It's going to be real-time HR that adapts. Think of it like a self-driving car for your workforce. The dedicated HR business partner. And so I'll go over this later, but we actually built what I call MVP minus. I was able to do like 81 beta tests, some levels of intent, whatever. And everyone said like, well, we had built was actually like dead on is what people needed in the right direction, but it wasn't robust enough, right? It wasn't good enough for people to pay, right? And so I actually going to scratch that. I also know thinking like we built a desktop first, and everyone said they wanted something mobile first, right? And I'll go to the reason why later on, right? So that's the thing right there. So next thing, one thing I do once in a while, I go on ChatGPT and put like what I'm working on, right? So different things I'm working on. This was for number. Working on Cavness HR. That's the main subject. So everything I talk about is like kind of going through Cavness HR. All the side projects for like we're talking about TechBank, doing software like business development for them, trying to get their customers. For Earth VC. I plan on monetizing the podcast next year, but all these things like kind of are drivers to the main effort, Cavness HR. The main effort of Cavness HR. Next, I'm doing a Wefunder campaign right now, which I'll talk about later. So in the past, I've tried to raise money. I've actually raised $35,000 a couple years ago through Kevin. Big shout out to Kevin. Thanks to him. But as far as like actually raising money from angels, like I know a lot of people say to go to angels and stuff, but like best here in Seattle, more like small business bankers, and so that didn't work. So I'm in that part where like I need customers for traction to show the investors to get tech, but I need attraction to get the investors. So there's this vicious cycle. What's it called? The self-licking ice cream cone, I think, right? So I'm in that part right now. So I'm raising a refunder, and if you want to learn more about the campaign, you're going to go to the link tree. That's definitely been a challenge. So I know the news they'll put out how people like raise millions of dollars on like these crowdfunding campaigns. This is true, but stats show like probably only 5 to 10% of the successful. They only raise maybe $4,000 or $5,000 way before to go. And with the one I'm on, Refunder, you actually have to raise $50,000 before you get your money, right? So I'm way far from that goal. So I did so for Seattle Tech Week, I did CavnessHR Seattle's Got Tech back in July 30th, and there I kind of like a soft launched my my Wefunder campaign. So Seattle's Tech Week, CavnessHR Seattle's Got Tech. And this like what I'm talking about, I have a pretty good branding. People would come out for me. Had a 16 tech startups do a demo. Think of it like a tech trade show. And then I had like a 90 to 100 people show up, so a really good event. And so had like a free pasta bar, free cocktail bar. We had the Cavness Old Fashioned. Our friend Natasha did the bar for me. Of course, I paid her some money, but she gave me a significant discount. Did a Cavness Old Fashioned, so that's July 30th. And then fast forward, I went to back to Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam in September. Got there September 1st. Couple of people were supposed to go with me, but they backed out the last minute. But yeah, whatever. And so on that one, when I went to, it's my third time in Vietnam when I went. First time was September 1st to September 10th, 2023. That time I connected with a lot of people, VCs and tech people, all different business people, right? And so I went again in November 2024 to February 2025. And that time I actually did my podcast. I did an 18 in-person podcast. And I did it at Earth VC. So Earth VC, they invest in deep tech, future tech things, climate tech, carbon. I can't think of the term right. Carbon is like when you decrease carbon. So I did a podcast there. Had a great time. 18 podcasts. So I built up a really good community in Ho Chi Minh, in Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City specifically. And so when I went back for that month, I actually launched my Wefunder there. So I did like a Ho Chi Minh City Wefunder launch at my guys, Marquise Ryan's bar, Alibi Bar and Brunch in District 3 in Ho Chi Minh City. So Marquise, he's like a retired Air Force veteran, been there for a few years. So I did my event there. Had like I think like 40, 50 people showed up. Had took care of drinks, food, whatever, and then not food. I think I just paid for beer for everyone, and did a quick pitch. So I did that. So stuff like that's going on. I'm still working on the Wefunder campaign. So any help from anyone from my Wefunder campaign, I really appreciate it, right? If you go to later on after this stream, you can go to refunder.com/CavnessHR. You'll see all the updates, everything I'm doing. So things with the I'll go over that later, I guess. So I'm also trying to build. Actually, I'm not trying to build a Vietnam-U.S. tech bridge. What I'm doing is like with TechBank, and we'll talk about that later, is helping U.S. startups, U.S. companies use TechBank for software development, right? So speaking general terms, developers in the U.S., development teams are charges like $100,000 in the U.S. If you're lucky, they're working 30 hours a week, if you're lucky. In Vietnam, like software developers with TechBank, other ones, will be like $30,000 a year, and they're working 56 hours a week. And TechBank charge a little bit more because like they pay for they're paying for the admin costs, the employees, the benefits, recruiting, all that kind of stuff. You can't find like developers in Vietnam for as cheap as $1,000 a month. But they're kind of junior, which have to take a risk. But there's other ones like senior ranking, not senior ranking, that's not military, but kind of senior, and they're like charge like maybe $1,500 a month. So, but with TechBank, everything's vetted. They have like a team of 150 developers. They built products in Asia, Europe and the Middle East, and I'm helping them find customers here in the United States. Also, I do the Jason Cavness Experience podcast. It's a top 2% podcast, number 81 tech podcast. It's actually surprising to me how good it does. It does. It's actually like kind of takes me by surprise. Like now, I only do them in person, but I get like at least 5 emails or 5 something a day from different agencies or people like, "Hey Jason, great episode with so and so, blah 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 blah. I have a great guest for you, John Bob out of Denver, right?" And I always tell them, I only do in-person podcasts, which kind of makes me wonder if they even look what I'm doing, because like I haven't done a Zoom podcast since 2020. My first in-person podcast was like March 19, 2020. So I haven't done a Zoom podcast in 5 years, right? So when these people ask me like do Zoom, it's kind of like throws me off. Like, did he even look at anything right? At anything? So there's that, yeah. But it's crazy. Like, so that happens. Back to Vietnam, I did 18 in-person podcasts in Vietnam. I have like a list of 135 people who want to be on the podcast in Vietnam. So the plan is go back there after TET in end of February, beginning of March, and get buy a whole new set of podcast equipment. Leave the new podcast equipment here in my Pioneer Square studio, and take all my old stuff to Vietnam and set it up. And I'll go talk about more of that later. And then you have a pretty significant backlog of people who want to be on the podcast. So I got brain lock. So let me change it up real fast. So let me switch up my bourbon. So I'm gonna take this off. I'm gonna move it away. So next one I'm gonna try is this is the Russell Reserve. So I can't remember what this one tastes like. I think I like it. So pretty much all these bottles I got from the Classics on Drunk Bass Lewis McCord, except for the Frank August that I buy out of I think it's Bevmo. Just a little teeny pour. So one thing that's crazy. So I'm actually having people like fly in to be on the podcast, right? So at the podcast age, a person reach out and say, "Hey, Jason, great podcast episode. What do you think about Tom Brown being on the podcast? He does this and this." So I look him up, from the information they sent me. I do a LinkedIn stalking, and I'm like, man, this is actually be a great guest, but man, like this guy lives in Los Angeles, right? So I put on hey, he'd be a great guest, but man, I only do in-person podcasts. I leave it at that. Most times people I don't hear back, but there's like 5 times now people reply, "Oh, no, that's no problem, right? Let's schedule it, right?" So it's like kind of blows my mind that I have people like flying in being on my podcast. And actually, the next person coming on the podcast, let me give him a quick shout out. Chris something. Hold on. So this guy right here, Chris, is coming on the podcast next. Shit. But yeah, so people actually like are flying in to be on the podcast now, which is like, to me, kind of crazy. but I'm actually gonna attempt to monetize it starting next year, a couple of months. So what I do now, someone comes to the podcast. It's like a 2, 3 hour, 4 hour podcast. My longest one's been 5 hours. And people say, like, how can you talk to so long? I like people don't want to talk about themselves. Of course, having like 8 bottles of bourbon on the desk, that kind of helps too. Speaking of bourbon, let me take a sip of this Russell's Reserve. Okay, that's pretty good. I like that one. A little bit of a bite to it. Actually, more than a little bit. So, quick joke. I often tell people, my people who I was around early in my life kind of failed me because, like, I drank Jack Daniels and Jim Beam for way too long. So back to the podcast. So one thing I do after the podcast, I upload the video into Opus Pro. Opus Pro makes like up to 45, 50, 60 1-minute podcast clips or whatever the time frame I want. And so I take those clips and I put like in the past I'll put my logo, whatever. And I would like send all these clips to like the people on the podcast, right? Basically for free, right? I give them all this content for free. So what I'm doing in the future is like, I will never charge for a podcast, but in the future they want like these like 1-minute videos. In the past, I would just send the videos. In the future, they pay for it. There's 2 scales, 2 versions. One is $500, where I just send them the clips. Another version, $1,000, is where I send them the clips with the logos on it, right? And so right now, I send them like the whole YouTube live videos, like 2-3 hours of video. The actual podcast audio, excuse me, and then like the total 200 clips. So the clips, Opus Pro lets you break it down as far as aspect ratio for the you can break it down like TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, and one more. And so like suppose there's 50 clips, it'd be 50 for TikTok, 50 for X. I'm not X. 50 for TikTok, 50 Instagram, 50 LinkedIn, and I'm missing one. And so I'll send all that to the podcast guests the day of the podcast release. But in the future, what I'm going to do is like I'll still send them all the podcast audio 3 hours straight and the podcast audio 3 hours straight, or however long it is. But they're going to have to pay for the clips, right? But if they do pay for the clips, the $1,000 version, I'll put all the logos on there, right? Also, the podcast I'm trying to do. Well, I'm not trying. I have to get out of the habit of saying I'm trying. All right, so TikTok just restricted some of my life because I'm drinking alcohol, which I get that. Yeah, so that went down the wrong way. Okay, where was that, man? So I actually did I'm still working on my podcast sponsorship packages. So I have packages where I like do different things on the podcast. I'm trying to get ad sponsors. So I did a basic template, different pricing, and so basically I say it works is like a podcast. The podcast will be paid by the guest, or if not the guest, a sponsor, right? Obviously, the sponsor would be better. And so, being tech startups, drinking bourbon, I have different things I want to go after. The first market I'm going to go after is obviously like the bourbon piece, whiskey piece. So one company I'll reach out to that I talked about earlier, well, not earlier, but is Rebecca Creek Whiskey. They're out of not Bar Verde, Texas. They're out of Bar Verde Street in San Antonio, only 10 minutes from Bar Verde. Bar Verde is where my cousin lives, her and her family. So that's the first I'm going to go to. Actually, I like Rebecca Creek Whiskey. So having people reach out to them. So that's the thing for the podcast. But the podcast is definitely doing more well than I think. It's actually like people reach out to me about it all the time which is kind of interesting. It's still like it still like takes me by surprise when I see someone and say, "Oh, I know you. You have the podcast." So that's kind of like, I don't know. So next thing, talk about that Vietnam Bread podcast. So from the podcast, I've done over 300 podcasts, talked to a lot of great people, and I did 7 eBooks based on the podcast. Actually, let me pull this up. I know I should know these titles by heart, but I mean, I don't. So did 7 eBooks based on the podcast. And so one is a unforgettable advice from real founders, creators, and leaders. Another ebook is Unfiltered Wisdom, 50 quotes from the Jason Cavness Experience. That's just quotes from different podcast guests. I think that's really good, very valuable. Then another ebook that I did based on conversations from the podcast, Growth and Resilience, Real Stories and Lessons from Entrepreneurs, Leaders, and Creators. Another ebook, The Top 10 Leadership Insights from the Jason Cavness Experience. Oh man, actually I just noticed an error on here. So it's supposed to say Top Leadership Insights from the Jason Cavness Experience, but I left the word from out. Oh well. Then Emerging Trends for Startups and Leaders. Featured industries and themes from the Jason Cavness Experience. Common startup struggles and mistakes. And so like 7, I really think those are valuable, right? So I've been giving that out for no cost to people, just, And so with that, the plan was like use it as like a sales funnel, like give that to people, and then they have come to my website or different places. Really hasn't worked out as well as I think it should. Actually, me look at something real fast. Let me go to my Google Analytics. So in the last 90 days, I've had like a 1.2 thousand hits on my eBooks on Google Analytics. But of course, I have no idea what that really means, like how many actually converted, all that kind of stuff. So yeah. All right. So back here, so that's the eBooks. I've been trying to give those out. And so I'll probably keep on these out for the next year and then do another series. Another thing I'm doing is I'm like, so Earth VC, like I said, there are future tech, deep tech, climate tech VC firm out of Ho Chi Minh City. So I got connected with them when I went the first time, September 2023, probably August, July. I was reaching out to people on LinkedIn to connect with people. And I connect with, I'm going to say his name wrong, Hoang Ho. And so I met with him at Earth VC, met some people there. Fast forward to summer 2024, my good friend Kevin said, "Hey, Jason," and that's why I went with him and his wife Mina to Vietnam the first time. And so he's like, "Hey, Jason, we're going back to Vietnam and to get remarried in February. Can you be in the wedding?" I said, "Yeah, I'll be in the wedding." So wedding's February 6, 2025. So wedding's February 6, 2025. I said, "Yeah, I'll be there. I'll get there like maybe a couple weeks ahead of time." And he was like, "Well, I think I need to turn this." So on my other computer, I have the live on. I keep looking at it. It keeps throwing me off. So maybe in the future, I just won't even show that right. And so he said, "Well, so a month passed. They said, "Hey, Jason, how many people you know in Ho Chi Minh City?" I said, "Man, I checked on LinkedIn, different social media, maybe like 300, 350 people. Like, have you thought about doing a podcast?" I mean, it seemed like we got pretty well along with those Earth VC people. I said, "Man, that's not a bad idea." So I reached out to Earth VC and asked them, and they said yes. And in exchange, I did some ads for them on the podcast. I did like the Jason Cavness Experience, Ho Chi Minh City edition, did some ads for them, did some logo stuff for them. So it really worked out great. And I actually just lost my train of thought. Man. Oh yeah, so how I got hooked up with Earth VC. So pretty well. And then went back in September 2025 with the intent, trying to find a place to live there, do the podcast there, trying to find whatever. And I really can't afford have a place to live, a podcast space. So I got their VC. I was able to meet with them because they're pretty busy. And basically worked out a deal where I'm their investment fellow, brand ambassador, helping them find companies to invest in the United States. And so how they invest is they invest I'll call it post-seed A round. They invest anywhere from $200,000 to a few $1 million. And you need preferably a annual recurring revenue of $200,000 or more. But one thing that you definitely have to need if you want to get investment from Earth VC is you have to have a tech person, right? Like a deeply technical person, right? You can't be some intern or outsourced, someone on the team. And actually, I think it has to be a co-founder. I think it has to be on the founding team, has to be very technical, right? You have to have a PhD in biology, a data scientist, very, very technical, right? And they invest in pretty interesting startups. They do have a couple of startups here in the United States. The one I tell people about, I think it's called, AALO. I don't know how to pronounce that, but basically, I know I'm gonna get this wrong. But on Avenger was Tony Stark. Iron Man had a little nuclear whatever it's called reactor. Well, I think at first they want to have that for everyone. Now they do it they want a nuclear reactor or something like that in everyone's house or income. I don't know if I really agree with that. I don't know if I want the people I know. I don't want driving a car much less having a nuclear reactor. I could be totally make this up, but point being, I'm working as a Earth VC's investment fellow, brand ambassador. So you have a deep tech startup, future tech startup, quantum computing, anything like that, reach out to me. Actually, now to think about it, let me pull up their investment thesis. Okay. So Earth VC, they're a science-backed deep tech VC investing in both solutions to decarbonize emerging Asia and beyond. So the ultimate goal of investing is to bring prosperity, but there's no prosperity on a dead planet. So the core sectors: energy transition, sustainable agriculture and food, and green manufacturing. So they're looking for serial entrepreneurs with successful exits. Like I said, the tech-based thing, PhD level STEM backgrounds, biology, chemistry, so on and so on, and 5 to 10 years experience in the target sector. So to get invested, you have to have a deep tech background and 5 to 10 years experience in that target sector, and strong technical teams, strong technical co-founder teams. And so they really don't invest in first-time founders without technical depth. Actually, they don't at all, right? And they're looking for different items, of course, right? So basically, that's what I'm helping Earth VC do. So like I said, if that fits you, reach out to me so we can go over your pitch deck and see if this might be a fit. So another thing I'm working on too, after 2 years, I was finally able to get my senior disabled veteran certification, right? So government contracting, there's billions of dollars, actually trillions of dollars in government contracting. in government contracting. And like it took so long to get this thing done, right? So the website was down, whatever. And so finally got it. And so shout out to Melinda Apex. She helped me a lot figuring this stuff out. Shout out to Melinda. So Apex, they're a nonprofit that helps military veterans like figure out the government contracting that's funded by the Department of Defense. So all these contracts, there's things called set aside. So the set aside for like different things like, what's it called? Small business, women-owned, hub zone. There's one for just regular military people, and then one for like what I am, service disabled military. And so all these contracts have to like have set aside a certain amount for all these different set asides, right? For example, here in the state of Washington, the state of Washington government has a set aside for 3% for service disabled military veterans. The past few years, only 1% have gone to those, right? Now you still have to meet the requirements. You can't say like, hey, I'm a disabled veteran, and give me this contract. You still have to meet the requirements, right? And so with that, the plan is to win some contracts and use that money to pay for the development of Cavness HR. So I haven't actually put a bid in yet. I'm actually putting one bid in like in a few days for a big contract here in the state of Washington. So basically, I'm going to be bidding on software development contracts. What? Oh, man. And so, for some reason, my TikTok Live is about to go dead because of inactivity, so I don't understand what's that about. I don't know. TikTok can be so frustrating sometimes. I don't know. But back to government contracting. So I just one bid I'm putting. So I'm bidding on software development projects and HR projects. So we have to see how that goes. But it's definitely a pain. And the challenge is a lot of these contracts, they get won by big multi-billion-dollar corporations, right? So it's kind of hard to get in there. And I was like, I'm brand new to government contracting. I'm not going to win a $10 billion bid or $2 million bid. But all the bids I could win, like $250,000 or less, or $50,000, was called micro bids or micro something. They're really not publicized, right? You have to know about it some kind of way, right? So it's kind of frustrating, right? But once you get in, right? So I have to go deal with that. So I'm doing this at it's like 1:53 in the morning right now. Been doing this like an hour so far. I'm just like this experimenting right now. See how it goes. So government contracting. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting how it goes, right? There are different lot of contracts. Another challenge too, like you have like SAM.gov for the federal government. So that's the federal government website. Each government agency puts stuff on there, which is not the best. There's all these agencies that have like stuff out there, and so it's a pain to go like manually do it. There's bid match stuff like that. Then there's people like charge like a lot of money to go through. I don't know, but hopefully that works out. So that also the social media stuff I'm doing. So I know some people might say I post too much, but I'm more of like the Gary Vaynerchuk, Alex Hormozi school of thought. Post. A lot of people say only post once a day on once on Instagram, one on TikTok, once whatever. But my thing is like, with all those people out there, right? If you only post one time, like no one's gonna see it, right? So I do post a lot. But my thing is actually I don't post a lot of stuff about me. So like I post 7 times a day, but they're all podcast clips, right? So 7 times a day across different. So there's 7 posts on LinkedIn, 7 on TikTok, 7 on X, 7 on Instagram. But there's 7 different podcast clips, right? So 7 times 4, that's 20 different posts I'm doing a day, highlighting different podcast clips, right? And of course I do posts about myself, right? And actually one time I did an experiment. Now, do I get a lot of views each post? Not as much as I think I should with my following. But one time I actually like took a break for 2 weeks, didn't post anything for 2 weeks, and then posted once a day, and it's still like really nothing happening, right? So I don't know. But sometimes I do like, I would never say I go viral, but sometimes I do get a lot. I did like on LinkedIn Live a few weeks ago. It has like over 75,000 hits, so there's that. So I update that once in a while. So next thing is this comes up. So one thing, so I'm on TikTok Live. It's showing me, and it had like it said we're about to leave because you're not active. So I don't know if there's something I'm supposed to be doing, like waving my hand out there. I don't know, right? So next thing I want to go over is my. Let me pull up to the top. Cavness PRD. So it's kind of weird. Like we're looking at the screen and look to the right where I have like on YouTube Live. It's like a minute behind. So one thing I need to work on is my product requirements document. Actually, I have this already kind of sort of, but it's something I need to kind of redo. So since on the tech piece, we're switching from like mobile first, AI native, I need to redo my product requirements document. That's basically showing all the tech pieces, what you need to do. Let me see something. So this document is actually like, man, it's kind of long. Mine's gonna be up to 100 pages long. I don't know if it's supposed to be that long. So go over the different sections. Man, this is freaking long. Actually, I'm not gonna go over this right now, but I'm working on a product requirements document. Actually, man, let me make a note of this. I'm actually going to that's what I want to do. I do want to do a live stream on this later. So make a note, live stream product requirements document. I think it'd be an interesting live stream, but not now. So next thing, okay. So one thing I put out the Earth VC, and so I pulled all the events in Seattle for next month, and there's a lot of tech events in Seattle. Actually, Seattle, there's something going on every day, right? But in February, there's nothing going on, and so I sent a proposal to Earth VC to do a event here in Seattle, like an Earth VC tech event, right? And so plan is like basically copy what I did in July, but instead so in July for CavnessHR Seattle's Got Tech, it was just a generic tech event, right? Anyone could apply. So I had like 15 tech startups. I think like 55, 60 people applied. But so instead of doing that in February, like do like a specific, still do like a tech trade show like I did, but only have like startups that Earth VC might invest in, right? But with this one, I'm gonna need some support from Earth VC as far as financially. So I already have like a list of 45, 50 tech startups to reach out to. There's like so much things here to do in that space. So there's like potential startups in like energy and industrial deep tech, agri-tech and food systems, water sensors. There's incubators we could reach out to for this potential event. UW Commercial Labs, Clean Energy Institute. There's just a plethora of potential startups you could do for this event. But the plan is so 1 July, so Earth VC rotated, gave an in-kind donation of 1 hour for the winner to do like the pitch. I had like different prices for this one. I want to do. I need Earth VC's help. Is have the winner maybe not get an investment because you shouldn't get $100,000 investment just for running an event, but maybe something some kind of maybe it's $10,000, $20,000, but something is what I'm looking to do for that. So another thing I do is on ChatGPT, I think it's called Rebuild Daily Ops Chat, right? And so I do every day. Let me go back a day. So let's go back to Go back to Thursday, right? So what I do, so this is on Wednesday of this week. So what I do, I take notes while I'm doing stuff, like nothing like minor. Like I don't put down if I send an email or did a call, but if I did like, if I built a product or did whatever, make a note, and then I take that, copy and paste, and put it in my ChatGPT. We build daily ops chat, right? And I'll say, hey, I did this on Wednesday, right? And then so ChatGPT will take it, capture what I did, make comments, and then it'll give me some focus for the next day, right? So like for actually, let me do this right now. So let me add did a live stream. So did a live stream covering what I'm building. So today so I won't go over that. I'll just copy and paste everything. So I'll take that and I'll paste it into the chat. So I was thinking, so ChatGPT, this AI stuff is the greatest, right? I know some people say it's making people dumb, losing their brain, but I just don't see it. I think it's making me smarter, and it depends how you use it, right? So I pasted in what I did for today, Saturday. Well, yesterday, Saturday, November 28th. Gives a quick recap. And this is good for sometimes I think a lot of us, especially us building companies, we tend to forget what we're doing. We tend to forget we're actually making progress. So this, for me, that's good for me. And that's a lot. So for tomorrow, it's saying light by sharp Wefunder block, finish the HR laws deck. So I had a presentation I do called HR laws. I'm gonna do an HR laws live stream later. Finalize the bourbon sponsor one pager. Follow up with Stella about government contracts. Reach out to Teen. So Teen, her name's TIN. Hopefully I'm saying it right. She helps me upload all my social media to include YouTube clips. Actually, tomorrow's a pretty light day, so I use that for it. So I have that, and a lot of times, it's just like a guide, right? I don't know exactly what it says, but it is a good guide. So I use a rebuild daily ops in my weekly schedule to plan my day. But I said it's just a guide, right? Stuff comes up, it misses stuff, So let me pull up my weekly schedule. So, man, what's today? So tomorrow's Sunday. For the weekly schedule on Sunday, I'm supposed to wake up, stretch, do some planning, post out the CavnessHR newsletter. So different things, right? It's just a thing. And I worked on the HR live stream today. So different things. So let me change the bourbon bottle again. So let me get rid of this Russell Reserve. So the next bottle is the Baker's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. So I usually have 8 bottles of bourbon on here. And what I do is when I go buy bourbon, I usually buy 4 at a time. I'll buy 2 bottles that I already know that I already like, and I experiment with 2 other bottles. Sometimes experiments pay out good, and sometimes not so good. Bourbon. All right. So the next I'm gonna go to projects. So SmarterQ, I do post a lot on social media, Like I said, some people probably think that I post too much, but I do use a thing called SmarterQ. Shout out to them. They're coming out of England. And I know some people would say, like, post each thing individually, that, if you use like an automation to post, it goes down significantly. I really don't say it right. Maybe, I don't know. Another thing with my social media, like, I don't have the time, like, okay, post on Instagram at 2:10 p.m. with this post, with this, all the detailed stuff. Like, had a team, I would do that right. But for me, and plus, I'm mainly posting social media, not social media, but podcast clips, from different people. So I don't know. Random thought. All the time, I have people tell me, "Hey, Jason, I see your stuff all the time on LinkedIn. I really enjoy it." But yet, the amount of people telling me they see my stuff on LinkedIn versus like the numbers I get doesn't match, right? So I don't know. Like I said before, I have like a hate-love relationship with LinkedIn. But so actually, let me pull that up. Let me pull up my SmarterQ. I know I'm just all over the place, and I know if you're on here on the TikTok, you really can't see my TV screen because for some reason my TikTok on my laptop got like suspended. I really don't know how that works, but it still works on my cell phone. So right now I'm pulling up SmarterQ. Whoa, what the fuck? So I have like, for some reason I have 615. How did this happen here? So let me send Teen a message. For some reason, I have like 615 social media posts in my so I have like 615 social media posts in my trash, which I don't know why. So I'm gonna send her a message asking what's going on. And maybe that's something I did. I just don't remember. So SmarterQ, so they have different categories. I'm giving out ebook categories. So Instagram. So I basically have broken down like Instagram podcast clips, X podcast clips, LinkedIn podcast clips, and TikTok podcast clips. Right. And so you can break it down by categories. You can break it down by posting plan, different hours. So I try to do once a month. I'll go and like, of course, we're singing with a ChatGPT. I'll put like my current. I put in like my current posting plan, the engagement I got, and then it'll like make a recommendation, right? And so right now, I post like twice a day for the eBooks. So I do a post for the ebook club, not ebook club, like the eBooks, the Refund the Builders Club twice a day on each platform. I'm doing that for a couple months. I actually got in that on November 30th. And then I post maybe 7 times a day on Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok. I'm actually going to probably cut that down pretty soon. So that's that. So back to ChatGPT. So that's how I do the SmarterQ. Big fan of it. Like I said, I've had a team like all these people, I could be able to do it. So next one, so podcast social media. With this one, this project, I use this to help me figure out like what to charge for my podcast sponsorship. And so first I'll charge like a few $100s, but it's like with research from ChatGPT and different places, like I need to charge a whole lot of money if I am able to get podcast sponsorships. So this next one, CavnessHR. So this one here is just like a deep dive on my CavnessHR tech startup, basically going through everything like, go to market, design, engineering, product roadmap, doing the pitch deck. So everything involved with Cavness HR is on this here, right here, right? It's pretty detailed. So let me go to the like a really intense cybersecurity plan. Let me pull up the tech stack. One thing I wish ChatGPT had was like so a lot of my chats like pretty long. I wish you could go in there just like, maybe you can just go in your chat like, hey, and they'll say like go to blank and it goes there, right? So like my tech stack is pretty intense, right? So the front end is like it's got reactive, native, TypeScript, Apollo client, React navigation. I'm just reading stuff off right now. And honestly, most of the stuff I don't have no idea what it is. But like I'll tell people I'm the most non-tech person you know. Like I'm confident I could like run or project manage a group of developers, but can I code it? Probably not, right? So there's Amazon, Cognito, Tailwind, different frameworks, the back end, different things, right? And really a robust cybersecurity plan, right? A lot of stuff is like Amazon, different stuff like that, right? Let me go back to Cavness HR. So that's all the Cavness HR stuff. Go to social media, or talk about social media some. So with the social media, what I do is I'll go in here and like, so example, I have it broken down like different social media. I'll go in there like, hey, how can I improve TikTok? How can I improve these different platforms and what I need to do? And of course, all this stuff I do, I don't really have time to do it, but it's all like in the backwards plan, so to speak. And I sometimes say I'm a glutton for punishment. So with Cavness HR, I've been working there for a while. And like I said, the tech piece has always like been the thing. I'm confident if I had to have an extra tech platform, I could get numerous customers, have so many connections. Like example, I did a podcast the other week with this person, and she's on a board of advisors for a business called Bobby, with like hundreds of people on there. I'm confident if I actually had the tech platform, I could do it, right. And people say, oh, like a lot of people say, oh, don't build the tech stuff first. Like get paying customers. I mean, that's true. You have a consumer product, like you want to sell like a fitness app or financial app, whatever. But no small business owner is going to pay money for HR platform that's not fully developed, right? At least 80% developed, right? And so that's a challenge I had. Other challenge I had was this HR startup, Cavness HR. Like a lot of people, oh, you're just an HR consultant. Like no, like actually despise HR consultants. In my mind, let me caveat. There are some good HR consultants, but majority of HR consultants and consultants in general overcharge the price, undeliver on value. So I'm not an HR consultant. And some people, oh, just need a quick plug and play or lovable website. It's like, I mean, I think you could realize from what I read off as far as the tech piece, how complicated it is. But I have had paying customers in the past, a total of 20 paying customers for Cavness HR. The challenge was, and one of the many mistakes I made was that all these early stage startups, all of them went out of business. So there's that. But the plan right now is for the refund I'm doing, the end date is going to be January 18th. If I don't have at least $50,000 raised by January 18th, I'm going to shut down the Cavness HR. And that after that, I don't want to do. But me being a glutton for punishment is actually coming up with a new tech startup I want to work on, maybe at the same time, right? And so this is actually, let me write this in. So this new tech startup is going to be like a combination of LinkedIn creators. So So this is also in the planning stages. So the name for this new one is either going to be Arclane or Alvaro, I think. So this new tech startup that is on my, like on the back burner, like planning stage, right? It's going to connect founders, military affiliate creators, development teams, operators. Basically, it's going to be a place for builders, right? It's going to give every user an AI-powered daily stand-up so their work goals and progress is auto-organized. It's going to match people based on real work, not resumes. It's going to use proof of work clips, tasks, and collaboration signals. It's going to have an opportunity board that surfaces projects, gigs, teams, investors, and collaborators. It's going to be curated and AI personalized. So basically, it's going to become like a portable operating system for builders. And builders can be like people building creative stuff, development stuff. I mean, builder is pretty expansive. Just like creative is pretty expansive. And so basically, be able to track work, find talent, share updates, and share progress and plug in the community. So basically, like a platform for talent, deal flow, and partnerships. So like, yeah, what's that going to be? I really don't know yet, but it's something like on my back burner. And actually, based on what I've been doing, is like between my experience in tech and startups and events and podcasts and connecting people, this might actually be a better thing for me to build than the Cavness HR thing. So also another thing I'm working on. So this is a IPPSA contract bid I'm bidding on with some help from people. So the state of Washington have this bid coming up that's due December 3rd. And so pretty much so how it works, they're going to award 48 contracts to anyone. And then 48 contracts, 11 categories, like penetration testing, IoT, policy development. But then after those 48, they're going to award a different 8 per category for like set aside. It's like service disabled, veteran, woman-owned hub zone, right? But the challenge is, even if you win a contract, doesn't mean you win, get paid, right? So the contract you'll win is like, suppose I win a contract for, we're actually bidding on penetration testing. Suppose we win the contract for penetration testing, that just means we win the opportunity for someone in the state of Washington government to come to us to help them out, right? So suppose we win the penetration testing, it'll say, Cavness won the contract for penetration testing. It will say, Eastern Washington University needs penetration testing. They can come to us. So the good thing is that all these organizations in the state of Washington government, from like Department of Interior, Department of Congress, fishing, whatever, they'll use this contract, right? Of course, the bad thing is like it's such a big contract, potentially everyone's gonna be bid on this probably, right? But I'm really counting on is my service disabled certification helping us get like one of the contracts in the set aside, and I have some people who are going to come on the team to help me do this stuff, right? So there's that. So I have to do that. Actually, I should have done that today. Next, I have a thing called podcast ops, where like basically what I do for a podcast, and this might be an over reliance on ChatGPT. Like suppose I did a podcast today with Mary Jane. I record the audio, I take the audio, upload it to Descript, export the transcription from Descript, and upload it to Podcast Ops, a channel called so the project is Podcast Ops, and then the chat is Podcast Show Notes. I upload the transcription from the podcast into Podcast Ops, Podcast Show Notes, and say, hey, do Podcast Show Notes for my Libsyn. Libsyn is on my podcast platform, and to do that. So basically, I use ChatGPT for the podcast show notes, the YouTube show notes, and my LinkedIn show notes, right? Then I do like podcast ideas, and also when I have a guest on, so Monday I have Nicholas White coming on. So tomorrow I'll like upload his bio, upload his LinkedIn, and I'll say, hey, I'm doing a podcast with Nicholas White of Thinky, blah, 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 come up with questions. And of course, I don't ask all the questions. I kind of cut half of them off. I'll do my own research and I combine them right. So yeah, that's why I do like that. Next thing, actually, I know I'm gonna talk about myself for a couple hours. This is actually kind of fun, right? So this is kind of weird. I know I'm going into tangents, but like I'm an introvert. I'm like a INFJ. I mean, if you believe the internet and the different experts, only 1 to 3% of us are INFJ in the world. So think of it as like we're very isolated, like very like don't like small talk, but we like public speaking, right? For example, I'll use, if I go to a networking event, suppose like there's 80 people there. If I know I'll probably talk to you, but I'm not going to someone to say, hey, how's the weather? How's that? What's going on? That's not me, right? But if someone got on the microphone and said, hey, our MC didn't show up today, can someone MC the event? I'll be like, yeah, I'll do it, right? It's just, I just like talking in front of people, right? It's kind of insane, kind of crazy. But another thing I'm hopping on with, and like, I know some people say I need more focus, but like, if I just did 1 or 2 things a day, I would go back to credit. But my way my mind operates, I need a lot of stuff going like on. Like even now, my mind is like bing, 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 ding, ding, ding. And my mind is always like going on and just like different things. So another thing I'm doing, I hope not with, right? I really don't have no official capacity with this, but like my good friends James and Mara. So James was with me in Bunko Labs, and I was actually at the wedding a couple years ago. So James and Mara. So last year they put on an event called Military Creators Conference, I think in Orlando, Tampa Bay. So this year they're putting on Military Creators Conference in Arlington, Texas. So basically it's going to be a 3-day event where military creators, actually any kind of creator, can take part, I think. A 3-day event where they have like a speakers, panelists, vendors, just people. They just want creators to show up and show off what they're building, right? And creators, and I think what I told them, they need to kind of like narrow it down, like maybe have like different lanes, like maybe one lane for like podcasts, one lane for design, one lane for photography, one lane for something else. Right now, one lane for artists, because creators like it's pretty freaking expensive, right? Anyone's actually creative. Like I never thought about it, but I'm actually creative myself because I have this podcast, right? But basically, open up for any kind of creative, right? If you're a creative and you want to show off what you're doing, you can apply to speak or be on a panel, right? And obviously, they're looking for sponsors too. It is a 3-day event. There's a lot of good stuff. I think it's the Hilton Hotel in Arlington, Texas, April 16th to April 18th. They have like one night from 7 to 11 p.m. They're going to Texas Live. Texas Live right by not count AT&T Stadium. If you haven't been there, Texas Live is like insane. They're doing like a cigar event. Now, this is a really cool, great event. So I'm gonna take part in that. So right now I'm helping them like put the word out, helping them find creators, helping them find sponsors. I'm not sure I'm gonna have any kind of role in it. So like being as far as being a speaker or panelist, I would love like be. I told them I would love to be the MC for the event, but I don't really know if they need an MC because like each day they're gonna have like I think like different stuff, different blocks going on. So I really don't know if they need an MC. I would love to be like a panelist or a speaker. Maybe I can do a panel or lead a panel. So I've done that before several times here in Seattle. Like maybe do a panel like military transition, how to create a business for creatives. I don't know. So, but this is something else I'm working on. So we haven't talked about TechBank yet. So TechBank. Let me check some more fast. Oh man, I don't know if this is working. So TechBank. So I originally met Stella from TechBank in when I was there from November 2024 to February 25. And they wanted me to like do some business development for them, work some stuff out. It didn't really work out that time. So I went back in September, met them again. This time it worked out. So with them, the plan is help them find customers in the United States, right? And so they can do anything from build simple websites to enterprise level AI, LLM things, and they actually prefer like more complicated stuff to do. But since I'm mainly startups, that's what I'm focused on. But with that, I have some people going to help me out, like go to different verticals. So with TechBank, have a very deep talent bench. I mean, very talented. And so some things that they focus on is ed tech, healthcare, e-commerce, and startups, right? They also have a thing called BOT. I can't remember what the BOT stands for. Basically, it's like where they help you build your own software development company, right? In Vietnam. So like pose, you want to start a software development company, right? They'll help you like source and find talented developers in Vietnam and across the world. They vet them, train them up, do other stuff for you, and then they'll say, like, suppose you say you want a development team of 20 people building Python AI, right? I'm making that up. They find these people for you, they vet them for you, then transition for you, and then they give it to you, right? Of course, that's kind of costly for you, right? It's not cheap, right? But still, it's a good progress, right? But yeah, so I'm helping them find customers in the United States. We haven't done a lot with that. It's mainly been like me researching government contracts. I have reached out to a few startup incubators recently, like 5 of them. I do have someone in the Houston area who has experience in fintech. He's going to start reaching out to fintech companies in Houston. There's like 2,100 fintech companies, so there's that. Also going to bring on some interns from the University of Washington Sales Certification Program that do different things for me, so for TechBank. So this could be very lucrative, right? They're giving me I'm earning up to 30% commission on anything I bring in. Of course, for that, I might give some away to close the deal, but yeah. And plus, like Stella's just a very good person, right? I'm a big fan of hers. Like I said, all the stuff I'm doing, TechBank, government contracting, Earth VC, podcast revenue, all this is like drivers to bring in revenue so I can pay for developers for TechBank. And I know people might say, hey, well, if you're doing it for TechBank, how come they just can't build it for you? Like, it doesn't work for like that, Like, it's Vietnam. It's strictly pay for play, right? There's no, hey, do this for 10%, do this, and I'd use someone else in the future. It's all strictly pay for play, right? I mean, that would be nice, And one thing, with Earth VC, so I'm the investment fellow, brand ambassador, helping them bring in well, not yet. Hopefully I can bring in like 1 or 2 startups they can invest in. But we would have to talk about what I get for that. Of course, I'm basically getting like a free office there. So when I did the podcast from November to February of this last year, November 2024 to February 25. So let me wave my hand at TikTok to make sure they see me on screen or whatever, so don't shut me off again. So they let me use an office on the 3rd floor, very nice office, different size. So the plan is I'm doing this investment fellow brand ambassadorship I can use the office again. Actually, if I understand correctly, I'm going to have the office permanently full time. But we haven't talked about what I actually get, right? Because it is a lot of work. So let's suppose I bring in a startup, they invest like $3 million. Like, what do I get? Do I get like 1% of equity, some money? So that's one thing we really haven't talked about, right? So I need to do that with them. Next is the Wefunder. So I really want to talk about the Wefunder because I always hear that you really can't talk about like fundraising or restreams, or not restreams, like refunders or crowdfunding on TikTok that they'll like cut you off or whatever, So let me think what else. Anything I should talk about? So let me finish off this Western Reserve real fast. This is actually a lot of fun. I enjoy this. So today's the day. Well, 2 days after the day of Thanksgiving. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Be able to spend time with your family, all that kind of stuff. So the next one is a Boondocks. This is one I experimented with, and it's actually I thought it was pretty good. think you notice my pores are getting like smaller and smaller. So the podcast I do are a lot of fun. Like, it's not mandatory. People drink. Some people drink. Some people don't. Obviously, the people who drink that is people who drink, that is a whole lot more fun. Obviously, I think the craziest podcast I did, one of the craziest, is like me and this guy were drinking like a bottle of bourbon. That's a good time. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to show y'all before I shut this off. I have no idea how long I've been here. I think I've been on like 2 hours. Here's one for you. Top bourbons list. Totally random. Like I said, like a lot of people failed me in my early life. I drank Jim Beam and Jack Daniels for way too fucking long. So what's your favorite bourbon? If you're a bourbon drinker, what's your favorite bourbon? Put in the comments. I mean, actually, what's your favorite drink period? Like, what's your favorite orange juice, favorite apple juice, favorite vodka, favorite tequila? Like, put in the comments. Bourbon. If all else fails, if all my tech startup stuff fails, I can always just like do these live streams. So I put in top 10 bourbons. So I can't remember. I think, top 10 bourbons according to ChatGPT and my input. Blend single barrel. I know a lot of people say blend is like overpriced and overhyped, but man, it's just, I don't know. It just tastes so good, right? It is a heartbeat. It is like, should be paying like hundreds of dollars. I went to one place, they want like $50 a shot. Is it like worth that? I don't know. Somehow it blew up. Of course, with bourbon, they make bourbon like years and years in advance, so like there's no way they can make more. Shout out to Smokey Joe's Cigar Bar in Fife, Washington. They always have blends all the time, somehow, some kind of way. So blends is a favorite. Buffalo Trace. I'm a big fan of Buffalo Trace bourbon. For the price point, I think like $30 is just a solid bourbon. It's like it goes good with old fashioned. It's just solid, right? If I had to pick one bourbon, it'd be Buffalo Trace. Then Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I don't think I've ever had that one. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Eagle Rare. I've had Eagle Rare before. That's decent. Royal Reserve. Never had that. So top 10 bourbon, suppose is Four Roses Small Batch Select. I did not like that one. It just wasn't for me. Four Roses. I tried the small batch, the regular. It just wasn't for me. Knob Creek. It's decent. I had a couple of times that's like it doesn't do anything for me. Maker's Mark. I've tried the regular Maker's Mark, and like I used to drink it all the time. I used to drink Maker's Mark, Bullet, and Buffalo Trace all the time. So Bullet. I haven't bought a bottle for a while, but I'm buying an old fashioned and have Bullet. I'll get a Bullet old fashioned. Old Forester, man. Old Forester 1920. I can't fuck with that. I don't know what it is, but Old Forester. But if I take a sip, I have a hell of a hangover the next. Not a hangover, like just a big ass headache, right? It's not for me, right? And Woodford Reserve is pretty good. Yeah, a big fan of Buffalo Trace blends. Oh, also Frank August, man. I'm a big fan of Frank August. Frank August is a relatively new bourbon. So two bourbons I have left to do is 1792 and the Frank August. But there's so many bourbons, right? And some of them are fucking, to be honest, are fucking straight trash. Like, I tried this one bourbon called Horse Soldier, Army Soldier. And man, it was just fucking, it was like a veteran-owned bourbon. Man, it was fucking horrible. Another one a lot of people like is Angel Envy. I wasn't a big fan of it. Like, I don't know, it didn't do anything for me. Think what else? There's so many bourbons, right? And so the reason I did this top 10 bourbon list, like to kind of figure out what bourbons to reach out to. And obviously, like Buffalo Trace, their national brand, I can't reach out to them. So I think the two bourbons I'm gonna reach out to as far as like trying to get podcast ad sponsorship is gonna be Rebecca Creek out of San Antonio, Texas. So with them, with Rebecca Creek, their bourbon, actually they call it whiskey. I guess in order to be a bourbon, it had to be made in Kentucky. So Rebecca Creek whiskey is actually using water called a Rebecca Creek. So Hill Country in San Antonio, Hill Country is like San Antonio, Austin area, Curve Reservoir, Fredericksburg, this area, a lot of like limestone creeks, aquifers. So Rebecca Creek, they get the water to make the bourbon out of Rebecca Creek, right? So I'm definitely gonna reach out to Rebecca Creek to see if I can have them do the podcast for me, do a podcast ad sponsorship, do ad placements. I mean, I think it's a good fit, right? So let me go to my schedule next week. So today's November 29th. So December 1st, I do a podcast with Nicholas White of Thinky Inc. So basically, Think Inc. They put this thing around your head and reach your brainwaves in a kind of way. 10:30, I have a meeting with I'm gonna say his name wrong, Tavashi Benton. So he wants to learn how to use expats or people from Vietnam for his startup. Have a meeting December 3rd with Elizabeth Marion. We were in Bunker Labs together, and a podcast with Liz Galloway on December 4th. My birthday is December 18th. I know I'm probably slurring my words right now. Birthday is December 18th. Be 58 years old. And one thing I was talking about my podcast is like, it's like the older I get, the more not more focused maybe, but more drive I have, right? Like if you told me at like 25 years old I'll be doing the stuff I'm doing, I'm like, man, I didn't know. I'll be like 58, 57, that's old as fuck, right? I just be in a rocking chair, but it's not me, right? Think what else? So let me take that off. So this is a good rundown of everything I'm doing. Now that I said out loud, it doesn't really sound like it. Actually, when I say this out loud, it doesn't really sound like I'm doing that much. So next is a bottle of 1792. This is a small batch. I'm presuming small batch means they made a really small part of it. So 1792, small batch. Name and honor of the year Kentucky joined the United States, 1792. Small batch bourbon is made from a marriage of few select barrels carefully chosen by a master distiller. That is one thing I want to do. I think it's called the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. That's something I want to do. There's just so many things I still want to do in my life, right? I mean, time is short, right? So, man, this is crazy. So, so I was watching this Cat Williams, Theo Vaughn interview, right? They're talking about time, and Cat Williams was like, time is a construct, right? You have enough time in the world to do everything right? Like, Cat Williams, actually a good part, he said, like, if someone told you tomorrow you're going to die, right? It's like right now, it's like 2:39 a.m. on Saturday morning. If someone told me right now, hey, Jace, you're going to die at 2:39 Sunday morning. You have 24 hours. That is enough time to do a lot of stuff, right? Now, obviously, money would be a factor, right? If I wanted, go, I don't know, deep sea diving, like, on wherever. And actually, when you think about it, money wouldn't be an object, right? You just fucking take out a loan on your good credit or whatever. You go to freaking like a money shark or a fucking gangster get the money to do what you want to. Like, you're gonna die anyway. What does it matter, right? But yeah, so there's that. So, well, think about it. I do have a lot of backup guests, but I'm always looking for interested people to talk to. Like, I just learned so much on podcasts. So, if you're in the Seattle area, or actually if anywhere you want to fly to Seattle or be on my in-person podcast, like, reach out to me. I've talked to anyone. I've had like brain scientists, U.S. Olympians, people who ran for Washington State governor, Mayor Bellevue, artists, painters. I've had like just random people, veterans, nonprofit people. I mean, yeah, I just had a good time on this podcast that I do. One thing I joke around and say before I started a podcast, my IQ was -20. Now it's like 185 because I'm getting so smart through osmosis. And people ask me like, Jason, what's your favorite podcast? I always say like, you know how Tom Brady says what's your favorite Super Bowl victory? He said my next one. So I'm the same thing. Like when I'm asked what's my favorite podcast, I always say the next one. It's always interesting, and like people say different things, and stuff comes up you didn't expect, right? Like the last podcast I did with Kate Edwards. So Kate Edwards, I can't say the name of the company. It's like Geo something, right? So basically, she helps games, like make sure they have the culture stuff right. So obviously, if you're doing a game about Japan, you don't say anything negative about Japan. So she does that. And so like we talk about Sasquatch, Loch Ness monsters, all kinds of crazy stuff. I've been the podcast. We've talked about is God real or aliens real, psychedelics. It's just it can go down to rabbit holes, right? And those are usually the most fun podcasts. I don't know. This is a good vibe, right? Hold on. Hopefully you can see this. So, so hopefully you can see this on my. So on this wall, someone gave me this idea. So the longest time this brick wall is blank. Chris Walken, shout out to Chris Walken. See this marketing. He said, "Hey, Jason, you should like have people sign these bricks." I said, "Oh shit, that's a damn good idea." So now people sign the brick. So what I do when someone comes and said, "Hey, put your stuff here. Can you do me a favor? Take this chalk and sign the brick." Say, "Sign the brick." And what I do when I push the podcast out, I upload the photo to Instagram and they do a quick post about the podcast. So, what's your favorite live streaming? What's everyone's favorite live streaming podcast? Live streaming. That's what we're looking for. What's your favorite live streaming platform? I know some people love TikTok, some people love YouTube, some people love different ones. You know, I don't know. I'm a big fan of TikTok. I just wish they would stop banning me from the desktop. I don't know. So, last one. Frank August. Simple bottle. I found this one by mistake. Not mistake. Just by happenstance. I was thinking of Bevmo. I saw this. Like, man, I was like, this is simple design, only the name. Like, it's like really elegant. Small batch Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. So let me check this out. I tasted like it was so good, right? It's like, to me, this is right up there with Blanton's. It is kind of expensive. I think the price point is $90. So it is up there. But this one is so good. So yeah. So bourbons, if I had to pick, it'd be like suppose they say, "Hey Jason, you're gonna drink these bourbons the rest of your life. No more experimenting." It would be Bed and Blow is pretty good. So with Bed and Blow, each bottle has like this little key on it. So I have like 4 keys on my desk. So I have Bed and Blow. So Bed and Blow, Buffalo Trace, Frank August, and Rebecca Creek whiskey from Texas. Those are the 4 I would pick permanently, right? That's good. All right, so let me go back to but life is fun, right? Life is good, right? Obviously, life is not good all the time. So probably next time maybe next time I do my live stream, I'll get more personal. Talk about more what I struggle with, what I go through. Another challenge too is like it's actually kind of like fucking frustrating. Like people are like, hey, Jason, just do this. Like, if I could just do that, I would fucking do it, right? Like, people say this, I don't know. This is kind of frustrating, right? Another thing that's frustrating about building a tech startup or in life in general, like people will say, like, basically, I'm going to go back to tech startup. They'll say, hey, some people say, hey, with your startup, fuck, marketing should be number one priority. Tech should be number one priority. Raising money, number one priority. All the people say number one priority, right? And it's like, everything can't be number one priority, right? And of course, some of them, I think, are being just generous because they want you to be marketing number one priority because they want to sell you marketing products, which I don't know. Another thing I'm doing about these tech startups thing, like, I've had a lot of people work for me, whatever you call it. And I feel bad about it because I never really could pay anyone except for like a couple of people. But one thing I learned is like, a lot of people start tech startups. Like a lot of people start tech startups and they'll be like, oh, I'm starting this tech startup. I have this great idea. I don't know, do shot glasses made with AI or some bullshit like that. And like, I'll raise $10 million in 3 months. But really, that's probably not gonna happen, right? So a lot of people start companies thinking they'll get like filthy rich in a short amount of time. It's just a fucking long process. But then again, the same thing happens with employees, right? A lot of employees like, oh, you have a startup. In 6 months, I'll get a lot of money, right? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So one thing in my experience, the most people who work for me, and maybe it's me because I'm not a good boss, not a good leader. I don't know. Actually, I am a good leader. I'm a great leader, actually. So a random timer thought, I'm off the thing here, but in the military, I had the best everything, best platoon, best company, best whatever. And people who worked for me like were recognized as being the best what they did. One thing I'm really proud of is like, I think 80% of the people who work for me in the Army, let me rephrase that. 80% of the people who knew me in the Army are still connected with me on Facebook, on social media. Another thing I'm proud of on the podcast, everyone who's been on the podcast that always said has had a great time, so I'm proud of that. Like, of course I want the views, downloads, blah, 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 stats, whatever. But to me, I care more about someone being on the podcast and saying, hey, Jason, man, I had a great talk with you. To me, that's what I want, right? And of course, I fucking totally lost my thought, what I was talking about. Oh, man. So let me think what else. Oh, man. So tomorrow's probably going to fucking suck for me. It's like 2:48 in the morning right now. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I want to thank everyone who was on this live for me. Totally random. So doing a live at like fucking 12 in the morning to 2. Doing a live from like 12:30 in the morning to almost 3 in the morning is probably the best idea. Probably not a lot of people watch, but this is a good learning experience for me. This is actually a lot of fun. So of course the thing is with time, right? So like I'm doing the CavnessHR Wefunder, building the tech, doing this, doing that, like helping people do stuff. Like, do I really have time to like do a live stream once a day? I don't know. I think it'd be fun, right? But like, man, when would I do this live stream, right? And what do I talk about, right? Like, I would love to talk about science, tech, psychedelics. I would love to talk about the effects of LSD, marijuana on military veterans. Like, I said on my actual podcast before, I'm not saying every military veteran does like psychedelics, but pretty much every military veteran I know does it, right? Pretty much every military veteran I know is like, uses like edibles, smokes marijuana, mushroom, something for like to help them with depression, PTSD, or pain, whatever, right? I would love to talk about that. I would love to talk about science, like so much stuff I would like to talk about, right? Which to me is like fucking insane, right? Because like I don't like talking to people, right? But I love talking. I love doing the podcast. It's just insane, right? I don't understand, right? I don't know, but I think this is a good ending point. I could keep talking forever, actually, but I do have to use the bathroom. If you did listen to live stream, I want to thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. I've done when I do a podcast, I do it as a live. I do it like a podcast live. So I live stream the podcast through LinkedIn, X. Fuck. Okay, so LinkedIn, Facebook, X, Facebook, TikTok. I do those. I try to figure out how to do an Instagram, but like I can't figure that shit out. You have to like download the RTMP, and like it's just too much. So I do the live stream there. So live stream on the podcast is simple. Like go to the Restream, set it up, schedule it, change the names, upload the thumbnail, and that's it, right? And then when I'm doing the live stream, like just switch the cameras on the Black Magic Design. But I think actual live stream, like I'm doing, it's kind of different, right? I think it's totally different, right? And so I really have time to do an hour live stream. So can I do? So right now I'm doing 2 podcasts a week, mainly so to help get the word out for the Wefunder. So 2 podcasts a week, like 100 podcast clips of each podcast, push all that stuff out. So I really can't do. It'd be insane to do a live stream additionally. So I think what I might do in the future. So my refund is going to end January 18th. Actually, I think I'm doing 2 podcasts twice a week through December, and only once. So go back to once a week in January. So maybe in January I do 1 podcast a week and 1 live stream a week. So I don't know. This a lot of stuff, right? Yeah. So hopefully people enjoy this. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I looked at my Adobe Audition, and for some reason it's all fucked up. I have no idea what my Adobe Audition is doing. It's recording, but it's like this a straight line. It doesn't look like it's doing any audio, so I don't know what's going on with that. So I really can't make a podcast out of this. So mainly I just like, but then I can take the audio from this Ecamm Live and download it, right? Or maybe from the YouTube. I don't know. Or maybe I just leave it as a live stream. I don't know. But cheers to everyone. Happy holidays. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Like I said, if you want to come to the podcast, let me know. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I know I'm just rambling on right now. So put in the comments what you're doing. Do you need help with something? There's another thing. Another thing we're talking about all the stuff I'm doing, like the building the tech startup, the podcast blog. I should have a family. I should have friends. I try to do stuff. So this, that too. Like you still, like I said, like I joke around. Not a joke, but I said if you're building a company, you still have to wash clothes. You have to take your car to get service. You still have to quote unquote be an adult, right? Just can't only work in the startup, right? Which is kind of frustrating, right? I don't know. So I had 3, 5, 6 sips of bourbon. Yeah, if you haven't tried Frank August bourbon, definitely try Frank August bourbon. Definitely try Rebecca Creek whiskey, great whiskey out of Texas, Hill Country in Texas. Okay, man, I'm so insane. So I've been talking an hour 59 and 11 minutes, an hour 59 minutes and 17 seconds, right? It's right in front of me, right? This is fucking insane. Man. Goals. What are my goals? My goals is to be a better person. So the guy I follow on social media, I really followed for a while. This got him hitting Shaw. A long time ago, he said his goal was to be a little less wrong than he was yesterday. And I thought that was so not inspiring, but so eye opening, right? How many of us think we're right, but we're fucking wrong as fuck, right? So many of us, right? I don't know. Whew. Another thing about startups, I think so. The thing about people don't realize about startups. Startups in general are set up for the CR, right? A lot of people do get fucked over working for a startup, right? Because you think about it. Let's suppose I make this up. Suppose you can make $100,000 a year for your skill set, right? we'll say marketing, right? But you work for a startup for quote unquote free for equity, right? So the challenge is, obviously most startups fail, right? So you might work for a startup for 2 years to get nothing out of it, right? I mean, you don't get nothing out of it. You get more skills, more experience, and network. So you do get something. You do get something out of it, right? So I remember one time I read an article on LinkedIn, and this company like failed after 3 years, and this person like, man, I worked 3 years for nothing, and the CEO said, are you sure about that? You work for nothing? Like, think about it. You learn this skill, learn that, you learn this, you learn that. So you do get some of that out, right? But the fact is, do you get money, right? Because you work for 2 years for a startup, no money, and the startup fails. Or even worse, the startup's successful, but the CEO fucks up the cap table, and no one gets some money, right? That's another risk, right? And so, like, I tell people who work for my startup, I tell them I'm going to give this amount of equity, but to be straight up honest with you, me giving this equity was 1%, 2%. It's like this. Me giving equity is the same as like me saying, hey, you see the pot of gold in the rainbow? That's yours. Is it really? Probably not. That pot of gold in the rainbow is probably going to happen for you, right? So same with equity, right? Like a CEO or founder can found and say, hey, Mary Jane, Tom Brown, come work for me full time, and I'll give you this equity, right? It's probably not going to happen, right? So when you work for a startup that's really like, that you're passionate about, that really love, that really like, that you really want to be involved with, right? That's going to improve you as a person, improve your skills, right? I mean, let me make this up. Like, suppose you're like, you're anti-oil. Don't work for an oil startup, right? Or maybe you're like, you're pro-climate. Don't work for a company that's anti-climate, right? Just a lot of stuff. I guess that's a good point to end it right now. I want to thank you for your time. And remember to be great every day.